In 1915, the Turkish Ottoman Empire decides to eliminate the Armenians because they are Christians. As a result, 1.5 million Armenians are tortured, starved, mutilated, slaughtered, worked to death, and hanged. Among these Armenians was my great-grandfather, Arakel. His wife Tzarik took her 2 children, my grandfather and his brother, and hid them in the house of their neighbor, Sare Mammat, a Muslim Turkish gentleman who wasn't fooled by the idea that killing the Armenians will transform the doors of hell to all Muslim Turks into those of heaven. My great-grandmother finally managed to take her 2 sons and run away to Lebanon, while others did to Syria, France, the US, etc. She put the boys in an orphanage in Mameltain, while she worked in Beirut in a coffee house called Café Parisien doing the laundry. She would walk on foot every Saturday from Beirut to Mameltain and back, that is around 13 miles each way, to see her sons. The boys grow up, my grandfather marries and has 5 children, the eldest of whom my father, Arakel, named after my great-grandfather. My father is a genius in mathematics. He goes to engineering school, marries my mother, who is yet another Armenian descendant of torture, rape, and murder. She gives birth to 4 children, the youngest of whom is me. I end up at Parsons in New York City, and one day, while working at the lab, I see a young man. I feel he is lost and is looking for someone to help him. I immediately guess that he is one of my colleagues whom I have not met yet, because a group of us did not need to attend the 3-week intensive course called boot camp over the summer. I smile to the young man, inviting him over. He comes, and we talk for a long time. I tell him all he needs to know, where is what, who is who, and all the rest of it. Then, realizing that his accent is not American, I ask him where he's from, and he says, "I'm from Turkey." I look at his face for a long time, while I remember the history and sufferance of both my maternal and paternal grandparents, and all Armenians in general, until I finally tell him, I am Armenian. And he says, "So we're neighbors." The thing is, I have never had a discussion about this with Alpay, my Turkish colleague, because I have avoided it, fearing that he will deny the Armenian Genocide the way his government does. And the reason for Alpay's possible denial probably does not come from malice, but simply because he has been told some ridiculous story like the Armenians dying from the cold in the desert. And it is interesting to mention here that in April 2003, the Ministry of National Education of the Republic of Turkey issued a directive to all schools that they have to organize teaching to show that the Armenian Genocide never occurred. In other words, official denial by the state, taught as part of the curriculum in the national schools of Turkey. Who is Alpay? Did his great-grandfather contribute in killing mine? Or was his great-grandfather a noble Turkish gentleman like Sare Mammat, who sheltered my great-grandmother and her 2 sons, along with others, the way Oskar Schindler walked through the bloody mud of the Holocaust without soiling his soul and his respect for human life by saving the lives of over 1,200 Jews?